Hello, welcome to Friday night in the UK. It's Richie here. How are you doing? Good to be with you. I'm a bit rushed, actually, I have to say. Sorry if I'm a few minutes late. It's been a bit of a hectic rush, but I'm here now. I hope you are really well. I'm just looking at my notes. Welcome if you haven't been here before, and lovely to see so many people returning. Thank you for doing that. Today I don't want this to be negative, but I can end up me having a bit of a moan today. So if you're not feeling like having a moan, I quite understand that. But I can see this I'm not going to sit on the fence about this one today. I'm going to be talking about Kickstarters, a few decks and things that are a bit disappointing. I'm also going to be talking about sort of mass market decks and what's lined up for 2024. And just a little bit of a kind of slumpy feeling I've got about decks at the moment. Okay, I'll try and dress this up as positively as I can, but I've got a feeling it's not going to happen. So just to forewarn you on that one, if you were looking for something a bit cheerful, I'll do my best. Having said that, if you would like to join in the conversation, please put it into chat. I'd love to know what people are thinking. This is all my personal thoughts. I have to say that. I'm not here to diss any publishing houses. I'm not here to upset any creators. Lord knows I know how much hard work goes into these decks. I'm not here to necessarily slate anyone. But it's just a general kind of chat that I'm going to be doing about that. So that's what we're going to be here for today. But it's lovely to see so many of you here. Let's go back and see who was here. Lady Silver, hello to you. Good afternoon. It's lovely to see you here. And Chris as well. You're in early. His name was Richie. He was a showgirl, absolutely. Although I'm not really dressed for a showgirl kind of outfits today, but thank you for that. I appreciate that. Maruta is here. Hello, my dear. I'm pleased to see you here. I hope you're very well. And Red Wing is here. Hello to you. Ange, good evening. Hello, everyone in chat, says Ange. Kala is here. Hello, everyone. Nobody here but us chickens. I love it. Kathy is here. Hello. If anyone is watching, just not commenting, you're very welcome here. Hello, Mr. Harriman. How are you? Oh, and there's Basil just on queue as well. That's going rather well. Poor Basil is not very well at the moment. He's had to go to the vets a few times, and he's probably got diabetes. So we have to go back to the vets. He's on incredibly expensive food at the moment, but it's very nice to see him making an appearance. So you just sit there, Basil, absolutely, and enjoy the show. Jen is here. Hello, my dear. It's good to see you. Mookite Jen, I hope you're well. Flower, Beauty, Peacock, Rainbow, hi to you. Yay, I'm here. Hi. Trisha is here. Hi, Trisha, good to see you here. And Ellie, my dear, good to see you here. I hope you are well. Lovely to see you in the chat. Philippa is here. Hello, Philippa. Really lovely to see you here. Nancy is here. And hello to all you lovely people. It's always good to have a bit of a bitch. It's not, hopefully it's not going to be that. I'm going to be honest with you. It's just my feelings. I'm going to say that a lot tonight. Okay, so let's not take it personally. Although sometimes you just got to say it, haven't you? And this has been brewing for a little while. Anyway, I do like a good no, nothing wrong with it. Perhaps it needs saying, doesn't it? Yeah, good to get it off your chest. Exactly what I was thinking. Thank you for all your lovely support so far. It's not very often I'm on my PC watching someone tagging the F out of everything. Absolutely wonderful. And I have to say, I did a massive recruiting of moderators during the week. So if you suddenly found that you've got a blue wrench, by all means feel free to use it on the right people, obviously. But thank you for those people who I have recruited. And if you would still like to be recruited, I could probably fix that up for a little later there. Oh, Marita says Paul Basil, absolutely. Yeah, he'll be okay. Feline diabetes is a hard one to control. Poor little Basil. I know. Oh, we all love an audience with Rich. It's not the first time I've been called that, believe it or not, Chris. I expect you're going to be saying lots of people are thinking, well, it might mean that I kind of get a few people unsubscribed to the channel because of it. But do you know what I mean? It's my channel and I'm not going to sit on the fence about this one. I'm going to say what I think. So there we go. Ellie is saying, I ordered an indie deck today and immediately regretted it. I'm kind of done with buying new decks as well. I'd love to know your input and your stories as well in this one there. Hello, Lynn. Good to see you here. We've only just started. Oh, your husband's not well. I'm sorry. So we send you some love and some healing there. So I'm pleased you're watching and hope he's okay. Philip Hurt, don't be sorry for being honest. Quite right. We often, well, nowadays particularly, we often just kind of always caveat things. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say this or something like that. And actually, we've got so very, very cautious about opinions and upsetting people that actually it sometimes feels a bit wrong doing it. But we do have to say that this is how I'm feeling. This is what I think at this moment. And all the opinions that I'm going to share tonight are going to be mine. If you do have comments, obviously I'll be flashing them up on the screen. So just be prepared for that if you're going to say something there. Diabetes in humans is reversible. I wish they'd studied doing that with animals. Absolutely. He is possibly about to take a new drug trial, which means not having to put injections into him. Fingers crossed that works. We'll know more next week. Geez, now I want to know what's happened. Nintendo. Oh, it's nothing. I mean, nothing. You know, please don't think this is earth shattering. But I'm gonna be doing it. So there we go. Rossi is here. Hi, Rossi. Good to see you here. And Kala says, I've only ever ordered one Kickstarter, but it was the Artisan Tarot, so it was all very safe. Yeah. Absolutely. Love that scene. It's just my opinion. So I suppose, oh, Jonathan is here. Good to see you, Jonathan. Just about to just go into the next part, but you're here. It's lovely to see you. I hope you are well and you're feeling much better now you've got over your COVID. So for those people that have just joined us, tonight it's going to be a bit of a conversation without hope. It's going to be a moan. It's going to be a moan. Let's be honest about it. Just what I think about decks, buying decks for 2024. And I've started off, as I obviously entitled this live, as No More Kickstarters for me. So it came out of me getting some Kickstarter orders in, and that kind of snowballed. And then actually it started to go a bit bigger than that, because I then realized I've been feeling what I'm about to say for a little while now. Oh, hi, Heather. Good to see you here. Hi, chatters. And I think it goes a bit further than Kickstarter, this. I think it goes much more into mass market decks. So I am going to actually kind of rebrand this from No More Kickstarters for me, for actually, have I reached saturation point as far as decks, buying decks online, Kickstarters, and the whole kit and caboodle. I'm going a bit bigger than just Kickstarter today, so I'm bigging it up. So again, if you would love to put your comments in, it'd be really great. Hi, Care Bear, good to see you here, and hello to anyone else that's watching at the moment. I'm just going to take a quick swig of tea before I start. Oh, Tricia says I've been so bloody picky with decks lately. FOMO has been hard to fight, but I just can't afford the prices. I'm going to be covering that later, especially the bloody shipping costs. I'm going to start that one. That is basically the last 20 minutes of today, if I've got it planned properly. So there we go. Hello again to anyone that's in there. So yeah, feel free to rant, moan, get things off your chest if that's going to help there. Right. So how did this all start? This started back at the end of 2023. And I did follow quite a few, 2 or 3 people who would do these reviews of what's coming up in the next season. You know what I'm talking about. There are still lots of people out there that do that, and I still love watching the content. But there was a couple of people that I would avidly wait for their content to drop, to say, you know, this is what's coming up. Go on Amazon. This is what you need to back now. And these are new in Kickstarter. And I used to love those. Absolutely love them. And I would actually get really, really excited. I noticed that they stopped doing these videos, and I thought, oh, okay, then perhaps they're just not very popular. Perhaps that's the reason why. And actually, there was less and less of those appearing on my feeds. As I said, there are still people that do those. So that was my first kind of inkling to this, as to, okay, that's quite interesting. I wonder why. And then, of course, at the end of the year, Los Scarabeo and other publishing houses tend to drop their new catalogues with what's coming up in 2024. And for me, that's always a really exciting time. It's a bit like I have to get my Kindle out and I'm ready there, a cup of tea or glass of wine. Yeah, right, writing down stuff, dates in the diary, that's coming out then. And I've always loved doing that. It's a bit like if you've ever highlighted the TV guide over Christmas, it feels like that. It's a highlight at the start of the new year. And I did that, and I went through a couple of the catalogues, and I just felt more and more dejected and more, really? Is this it? The catalogues certainly weren't as big or as much as many of the decks that they have been before. And I have to say, there was very little in there that I actually thought, I'm not interested in. A couple of things. I'm not going to mention things, but certainly I was looking at the pages at the back where the previous, past decks and publishings have gone on. And I was looking through that going, actually, that's what I want. I want something from 5 years ago. And I was just finding that anything that was coming out this year was very, very nondescript for me. And this, again, is my personal opinion. I'm sure there are people out there that are absolutely loving what's coming up in the seasons of this year. But for me, it really didn't butter my muffin, so to speak, on that one there. So I was beginning to get a feel like, okay, 2024 might be just a little bit flat, might just be a bit of a dud year. And, I started to think, well, why is that the case? There's a cost of living crisis in many countries. A lot of people don't have the money. Perhaps publishers are finding difficult to get stuff. Kickstarter seems to be getting bigger and bigger every month with more and more stuff on there. Perhaps people are moving to Kickstarter. Other reasons is that perhaps they're just narrowing or cutting down what they're creating because of cost of living crisis, and simply creating or going for stuff that their computer models or whatever past sales have told them these kinds of things sell, so we're going for that. But when I went through the catalogues, I have to say there was not much in there for my liking. So I suppose that's a good thing, because it's kind of forcing me to do a depth year without me actually choosing to do that. So you could argue that this is actually saving me some money. I'm going to catch up with other people at the moment. I'm getting into when I get a deck in, I sell a deck. Yes, that is quite a nice way of doing it, and that's something I'm going to be doing this year as I clear them out. Too many decks coming out all the time, overwhelmed with. There is, yeah, and not just too many. I'm going to talk about this in a minute. The themes of them that are coming out, I'm just finding very, very. I'm going to use the word whimsical, perhaps. I'm going to use this term. I'm going to use it quite a lot, actually. I've been thinking about it. Whimsy, perhaps gimmicky. I'm going to go as far, and I'll back that up in a moment. And it just all seems very, very on the surface and no depth to some of these decks that I'm picking up. Okay, not all decks, obviously, but that's how I'm feeling. Is it's all about glitter, it's all about the packaging, it's all about the holographic edges, it's all about this. And then when you look at it, what is there actually there as content wise? So we'll have a look at some in a minute. Make me want to hide in my home, just cuddle up to the ones I have. I have gone back and used so many decks from years ago, but I've just bought Everyday Witch, which I haven't had, and I absolutely love it. I mean, how long's that deck been out? I've gone back and used Lightseers. Again, it's a modern classic, and it's not, stuff nowadays, I'm going to have to say, is really not a patch on those ones. So we'll probably be talking about that a bit more. Jonathan says, I'm with you, Richie. I'm at my saturation point and I'm still waiting for outstanding decks from Kickstarter. Absolutely. Yeah. Chris needed an early night. That's why he wasn't there. So, Care Bear, I'm just trying to refrain purchasing and loading up my wish list. One day, perhaps I'll get it. There's nothing wrong with having a wish list and sort of checking it out every so often. Yeah, that's my favourite thing. Butter my muffin. I feel like the whole tarot business has reached a saturation point, not so many original ideas left out there. It does kind of feel that it's all been done either before, or there's now so many niche permutations. So, it's not just a steampunk deck, it's a steampunk deck with this, or it just feels like it's filtering down and down and down. And of course, we're probably going to be talking about AI and all those things in a moment as well. Ren is here. Hello. I'm talking really fast tonight. I'm going to slow down. Sorry. Ren, hi. Work lurking. Good to see you there. And then says, I think you've got a point there. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that other people are thinking this, and I appreciate that for people sort of saying what I'm venting here. Mood says, I still have some older decks on my wish list, but not a lot of new ones excite me. That is absolutely where I am at the moment. Okay. And Care Bear says, absolutely, Maru. Every deck idea I have, go and sure enough, a variation of my idea is already out there. Yeah, absolutely. Nancy says, it's like TV shows. There's lots of decks, and then you have to troll through to find something you like. Yeah, absolutely. Trisha says, too many light and good vibe decks and not enough depth to them. Absolutely, yeah. I keep coming back to the same ones every time, and those make me feel happy. The rest is just padding. Yeah, I like that idea of padding. And of course, there's nothing wrong. There are deck collectors out there. And absolutely, this is no slating of those people either. However, personally speaking, I don't have the room or the finances to do padding. And I'm going to show you some of the decks that I have padded with and why, as soon as I open them, they are pretty much going to eBay. And I'll explain why in a moment. Hello, my lovely friend Gerald. I'm wanting something with depth rather than gimmicks. It's very selective now. Welcome here. And I appreciate your comments and people putting this in there, that it is, exactly how I'm feeling. Every time I see a deck, it's like over $60 to $80. Don't even get me going on that one, Heather. We're going to be coming back to that one in a moment. And Philippa says, I agree. I love my old decks and tend to go back to old friends. Yes. Lightseers, Tower of Oneness, which is not an old one, but I'll say it's an old one. Morgan Greer, RWS. And I think this is one of my arguments. This is what I was trying to put into words. And I was talking to someone about this. I won't mention names, but I was talking to a friend of mine about this. And the problem I got when I try and describe something as a bit whimsical or a bit shallow, I'm trying to think of the right definitions to give it, because I don't want to make it sound like it's not important. But the first time I started to pick up a tarot deck many, many moons ago, okay, let's face it, there weren't that many around there. But I remember looking at the JJ Swiss, the original RWS design, probably a Thoth version. There were probably a couple of other RWSE kind of styles. There wasn't a great deal. I mean, in my day, before the internet, there were big photo albums in shops, and people would put 2 or 3 samples of what the card was and then one for the back. And you kind of flip through it like a family photo album to decide which deck you were going to buy. And then they're going to unlock it from a case. So we didn't have the chance to look at all these decks. But having said that, I remember the first time I picked up a JJ Swiss and an RWS, and I looked at the, facsimile of the original artwork, and I just thought, geez, there's something really special with this deck. I could sense the importance of it. I could sense the symbolism. I could sense the magicalness of it, the energy of it. I could understand why these decks had been passed down for generations and generations. They were iconic. Okay, and obviously that goes without saying. But when I held them, it was like, yeah, this is something, this is something special. This is something that is allowing me to enter into a world or a plane that I wasn't experiencing before. Oh, great, I'm going to learn the tarot, you know, and I'm going to be reading cards and all of this. But it was, you know, all the strange words on the Wheel of Fortune, and reading about, you know, why the High Priestess has got Torah on it, if you look at it in one way, and all those little nuances in all the, and I was like, this has been studied and loved and used for years and years and years, you know, up centuries. And there was this whole, wow, this is magical. This is a beautiful, special, deep moment. And I wonder now, if you handed someone a deck from, you know, Kickstarter that didn't have all of that, would that person have that same vibe? Would they have that excitement, that kind of respect, I suppose, for what it is? And I don't think I would. And that's what I'm kind of talking about. I'm not saying that everyone should obviously go back to the basics and learn with that one. But I know that your first RWS or your first, you know, facsimile of something is something really special. And I kind of got it. And when I look at some of the stuff that I've got nowadays, I'm like, I actually feel quite sorry for people if that's going to be their first tarot deck, because that magic, that mystery, I don't think is always necessarily there. There, I've said that piece. Let's get on to where other people are. Heather, I appreciate the time and the skill, but it's mind-blowing. Absolutely. Oh, Gerald says, howdy all. And everyone's saying hello to you. Yeah, same here, Gerald. I need something with depth, yeah. Nancy says, I will say the Awakening Tarot just out from Monica Bodinsky is pretty unique. Yes, absolutely. There are those times, aren't there, when something comes along that does blow your socks off. For me, it's the Tarot Oneness, you know, Light Seers, all those ones. But for the amount of decks that are being produced, particularly at the moment, and being churned out, it should be happening on a more frequent event, I'd imagine. I put up a few decks on the Dutch marketplace, but nobody wanted them. Not even the ones you can't get anywhere. Now that's interesting as well, isn't it? Is that I think there was a bit of a surge. Everybody's picked up tarot cards during the pandemic. I totally get that. And, you know, I know a lot of people went absolutely mad buying tarot decks, and the prices of them absolutely rocketed. And that's probably one of the reasons why, you know, it's now gone up quite a lot of money to buy new decks. You know, supply and demand, absolutely. That's how sales and business works. But now it's a bit like we'll just flood it with whatever we've got, and you know, people just have to sink or swim through it all. Tricia says, I love the Morgan Greer. It's a go-to, isn't it? It really is. Yeah, there are so few special decks anymore. Chris says, I found myself becoming interested in working with the Thoster. Now that's interesting. So have I. Chris, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that one. Perhaps give me a message about that if you fancy doing, I don't know, a live or something about that before even if we step into it. Heather says, I can totally relate. Thank you. And Philippa says, I understand that. Going through those albums gave me a real feel of the energy of the guy. You know what I'm talking about. That's great. Yeah. Oh, and Jonathan as well is thinking about frothy stuff. Really, Jonathan? I think I only have a handful, actually. And Trisha said, I love waiting for the glass lock case to be open because the deck had just called you. Do you remember? And then sometimes they would fall out as well because they'd be standing up and they, you know, the cellophane wrapped and they'd kind of fall out. You had to catch them. That was a special moment as well. Now it's shelves and tables full of nothing that sparks you. Yeah, I tend to go into shops, and I mean, I'm lucky enough to go to London, and some of the big stores there where they've got, you know, a small section of a room set off just for tarot decks, and you can, you know, it's a bit like got, don't want, got, you know, and it's a bit like that. And I don't like myself doing that because it just doesn't sit right with me doing that. So yeah. Like a lot of life, it has all been too commercialized, and absolutely, yeah. So, have a cup of sip of tea. So we got to the situation now where, yeah, is it all just a bit too much? Perhaps we've been so fortunate to be interested in tarot at a time when it literally exploded, what with Kickstarter, all the other stuff coming around. And perhaps now that cloud of is just settling. Perhaps that's the case. It's just we've reached a point where we're going to just get to that saturation point. And I'd be interested to know if anyone else also is feeling that they feel saturated by it all. Would love to, Rich. I've got some ideas for stuff I'd like to film, but I'm also interested in making a wee study group. Wonder if many folks be interested. I know Thoth is a turn off for some. Absolutely not, Chris. Drop me a message, or perhaps we can message you. Perhaps we could have a bit of a group stuff. That would be really interesting. I don't know very much about it, so it'd be nice to kind of step into Thoth with a few friends. That'd be great. Ellie is here. Hello, my dear. It's so good to see you here. Hope you're well. I certainly am, and I hope you are too. And it says, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. That's a great conversation. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. And Jonathan says, count me in for the study group as well. Tricia said, Chris, I'll be interested to follow the Thoth journey. If you did one, I still haven't tried it out, but I'm still keen to try. And Gerald says, I'm curious about the Thoth, especially knowing more about the creation and variations of the school of thought relating to each school. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Lots of people interested. Ellie would as well. Chris, you need to put something on your Facebook or Instagram account, and then people can contact you there. Well done. Lovely. Okay, so let's talk Kickstarter. Now, I suppose we need to go back a few years as well, pre-pandemic as well. And I backed my first Kickstarter deck about 4.5 years ago. And of course, the first time you back a Kickstarter, you're a bit like, oh, okay, this is a bit worrying. You're putting money ahead of stuff and you're not quite sure what you're going to get. And after I'd done one or two and had an amazing information, it was all laid out pretty well. All the artwork had been created before. I think it was the Divine Diversity deck, the Joe Phillips one, which got me into Kickstarters. The original one, I should say. And it was a bit like, okay, I'm being given lots of information and the creator is communicating regularly and giving me updates. It was a big deck, I remember, and it came with a small book, but it literally came as a box. It didn't have any other bits and pieces. There weren't any extra additional bits or goals or what do they call them? Bolt-on things, whatever they call them. You know what I mean? All the extra bits and pieces. It was very much, this is the deck, this is the cost, and here's an estimate for how much it's going to be. Now, I also know that postage has gone through the roof. But back in those days, I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, and it was a safe place to be. I also think that Kickstarter and others, I should say other sites as well, things like Indiegogo, but I have to say I've got more experience with Kickstarter. Kickstarter was a place where people would come on and they would try stuff out. So before all the decks, we started talking about diverseness in decks, quite a lot of the decks were being done on Kickstarter that were diverse or were beginning to get diverse much earlier than the publishing houses, the mainstream decks were getting them. And so it was an exciting place to be, and people would put their artwork on. They would talk about their plans. Some of them would already start them, but a lot of them said this is a project that's going to take a year or so, but thank you. And it was very much, I felt very much like the artist or the creator and the people who were backing it, the crowdfunders, if you want, for a bit of it. There was a rapport, there was a kind of we're all in this together kind of thing. Fast forward to nowadays, I think that has completely gone from Kickstarter and from other groups. I kind of get the idea from some of the creators that I'm going to bang this out and I'm going to put lots of stuff into it, and I'm going to make it's more about perhaps making money than necessarily the deck being the biggest thing in their life that they need to get out there. Now, I might be completely overstretching that one there, and I do apologize if that upsets anyone, but I sometimes feel that it's all about the glamour, the razzmatazz, like I said, the holographic images, the bag, the bolt-ons, the box, and everything that goes with it. And the deck actually sometimes gets a little bit lost in that one. And I think it's a shame that that's happened. And I'm going to show you an example or in a moment of what I'm talking about. But also there seems to be very little communication, or the artwork is not always so easy to see. And I often feel that there's often the way that it's set up, the way that it's done is almost kind of like encouraging people to do it. It's like if you go into some of the decks have been like 300, 400% back, which is great. But there's others that have been completely left out, and you've got about 2 or 3 or perhaps 10% of people have backed it. It all seems to be all or nothing at the moment. And having a look at some of the topics that was coming through, I was a bit like, this is either all been done before and to be honest, better, or this doesn't I mean, I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. I do not need another flipping animal oracle deck. If I live to be 1,000 years old, I don't need any more of them. Okay, there's no other concoctions or ways of doing an animal oracle deck for me. I've got the ones I like. Thank you very much. That's it. And it just seems to be like this. We're jumping on this one. We're doing this one again. So the other thing that I'm going to just talk about quickly is the postage. There was a deck that it's still on there, or it might have just come up to the final countdown for it, and it's been backed. It's been 200-300%. Now I'm always banging on this channel that I would quite like a masculine center deck. I just feel like that would really help my collection, and one came up recently. It wasn't the kind of artwork that inspired me necessarily, but I did say, Richard, you've been banging on about this for a long time, let's back it. And I think it was about £35 or something like that, which I thought wasn't too bad for a deck. So I backed it, and I was the 203rd backer or something like that. And I kind of something, I'm not sure about this one. Anyway, I'm quite often that happens, and I will just sit there and forget about it, and then I get reminded I have to pay for the deck, and it's done. And that's part of the problem with some of this stuff coming in. Anyway, this deck, as I say, was about 35 quid, and then they sent through how much the postage was going to be. The postage was £45. Okay, more than the actual deck itself. And I was just like, are you having a joke? I mean, 45 quid to post a small deck around this globe, really? And I'm like, how can something that costs more to post than the actual thing? I don't understand that. And I don't know whether people sort of pass the postage on to another company to do, and that's why it's gone up in price. I appreciate the fact there's a lot of different countries and there's different agreements, and postage has gone astronomical, but I am certainly not going to pay more postage than I pay for it than the actual damn deck itself, and that's a no-go. So I actually withdrew from that sale, and I thought, no, I'm just not doing it. It's already set up a bad vibe before I've even done that. And to be honest with you, I'm not even 100% sure I wanted the deck in the first place. So that's the kind of relationship I'm currently in with Kickstarter, hence why no more Kickstarters for me. So yeah, so that was a situation I found myself in. I'm just going to go see how people are doing at the moment. Sorry, I'm just going to get off my soapbox for just a second. Don't worry, I'll be climbing back on it again in a moment, no doubt. Haven't missed anyone else. Oh, Philippa says, the Thoth was my first deck. Oh, brilliant. I love the design of it, but I found people would look at the words on the cards and become fearful. So I started using something else. Or what did you go to? Did you go to RWS, or did you move on to Marseille or something? Chris says, I totally get that. I was watching a James Feeney video today where he trims a Thoth down to get the image to take off the keywords. That's really cool. Good idea. Now, this is the only problem I've ever had with the Kickstarter is some delays on release. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times where things just got held up. And I totally understand that. But there was one, I think it's the literary tarot. It got held up by about 2 years, you know. And I know it's a beautiful deck, and I know that they spent a lot of time getting all that gold gilding done. So I totally understand they wanted a perfect deck, but there comes a point where you just, after that point, you pretty much write it off in your brain, isn't there? You know. Did I feel that? Absolutely not. Now I have to say, Emma was on the channel the other day, and I'm not saying this just because she's on the channel when I class with one of my friends, but actually I think that Emma Emma shows a lot of videos. She does a lot of stuff with her social media about the creating of the deck. I can see the work that's gone into it. I know it's not AI or anything like that at all. I'm a big fan of her art style, and to be honest with you, I would climb heaven and earth to get one of her new decks if it was the right thing. I can't remember how much the postage was on it, but I don't remember it being too expensive. It certainly wasn't. It was less than the actual deck itself. So yeah. When tarot has sorry, I'm having trouble reading on. When tarot had this most recent surge in popularity, a lot of greedy folk. Yeah, you've got it, nailed it there. Absolutely. But Bewitched, hello to you. Good to see you here. Yeah. And Gerald says, I think the market saturation forces creators to think of extra bling to make the project get funded. Yeah, you're right. It's a bit like, oh, we're going to put this in, we're going to put this, and we're going to have this. I'll talk about that one in a moment. Remind me to talk to you about the latest incident I've had on it. A masculine scented deck. No, masculine centered deck. I don't think I'd like a masculine centered deck. Try to think what that might come across as. Marie says, I got the ultimate animal deck. It's called the Ark, and I got the expansion pack. It's a giant stack of cards. Yeah, I mean, everyone to their own, but as I said, I've got a lovely couple of animal oracle decks, which I love. And yeah, absolutely. Hi, Jackie. Good to see you here. I know, 45 quid for the postage. Like I said, the deck was 35 quid. It's like, no, come on, folks, have a reality check here. Yeah, I know it has increased a lot there. Yeah. But when you unsign from a Kickstarter, and you know, if you've not backed Kickstarters before, you back them and you get told you're the 200th and whatever backer, and you have until the countdown gets to the last hour to withdraw from it. After that, you are then obliged to purchase it. So that's what I'm talking about with that bit there, is that and I'm really pleased that they did talk about the postage at that point, because I'd have been really pissed off if they hadn't and then whacked that on as an extra charge onto the end of it there. So yeah, so just to watch out for that if you are on thinking of Kickstarter decks and you haven't been on one before. Make sure you communicate with the person how much, if they know how much the postage is roughly going to be. Yeah, good warning to make sure that the postage will be before you support a deck. Absolutely. Yeah, Jonathan's got that one. It's one I haven't used yet, but I'm looking forward to knowing about it. 45 quid. I know. Absolute robbery. Marita paid $25 to get a deck shipped from Russia. It should never cost more than that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Medieval Scarpini. Okay, for Oracle clarifiers, I started handwriting my own with a Sharpie. Brilliant idea. And I think, again, that's just ingenious. And yeah, that is how we should be doing some stuff. Yeah, repurposing it. Oh, you know the deck I'm talking about. I did back that deck. Then they bought the shipping price down. Oh, did they? That's quite interesting. Oh, do you know what, Jonathan? I just wasn't happy with the artwork anyway, which is why I pulled out from it. So I did wonder if that's the case, because when I went back in again, suddenly it got even more subscribers. And I thought, hang on a moment here, somebody's making a killing somewhere. And since I saw 2 decks I liked, but the postage put me off, couldn't justify it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Did that include custom? No, it didn't. It didn't. Not that I'm aware of anyway, but it didn't say anything about that. Gerald's focusing on curating my collection and realised I don't need nor want all the decks created. I've learned my likes and dislikes. Yes, me too. And it does take sometimes your fingers to get burnt on a couple of them to realise that one there. Trisha says shipping to I don't know in New Zealand, Trisha, but shipping to New Zealand ends up being $70 or $90. That sounds a lot. I'm assuming that is a lot of money. I don't know what exchange rates are at the moment, but yeah, it sounds like a lot. Yeah, masculine centered, not scented. Yeah. I always get mad when they release to the general public precedes me getting a deck as a Kickstarter. Yes, that's happened to me once, where they all of a sudden, yeah, the general public got hold of it and Kickstarters are still waiting. Yeah, it makes me really angry. And it's really weird that people don't, all the people that create it don't understand that. Jackie said I wanted a deck from America, would have ended up being 160 that's euros, I suppose, with shipping, tax, and customs. Customs are a massive amount. And I know I've spoken to Orshi sometimes about it. She said I just can't buy decks from the UK or around because, again, the postal charges is ridiculous. I will have to enunciate better next time. It's Friday. Give me a break. Perhaps I haven't come across something scented decks, but masculine scented. That could go wrong badly, couldn't it? You do fully embrace the idea of writing on the decks. It's used much more comfortably. And Nancy says we're lucky in the US not to have tons of taxes, customs, and exorbitant postage tacked on. Yeah. Carla says I picked up a deck from Destiny. It's gorgeous. I don't regret it. The shipping was a smack ups. Yes, I bought 2 or 3 decks from Destiny, and what I do is I sit for 2 or 3 years looking at them and putting them in baskets, and then when I've got 2 or 3 decks, I then go right, bite the bullet, and it's cheaper. It's cheaper to buy all 3 then than it is just to buy one at a time, obviously. A scented deck makes me it's scented resume legally. I like that one there. And says it's not just the postage, but the custom charges just push it higher. Yeah. Ellie's got to run. Lovely to see you. Have a great weekend myself. She wrote scented, but means centered. When a creator or studio churns out deck after deck after deck, I take notice and press pause. That production can't have a depth to it. Yeah, absolutely. And Calla wants a chocolate scented. Yeah. Oh, it's about £35-45. Yeah, again, it's what I was talking about here, probably what it is to post from somewhere in the world to the UK. Not the UK, probably England. I know it's different for Ireland, and I'm not sure about other places as well. Wine scented. So my story, another Kickstarter story, because that's kind of what we're talking about. No more Kickstarters for me. There is currently one. Again, I'm not going to mention one, but there's currently one which I'm going to give it away if I talk about it. So again, I don't mean any harm. The deck looks gorgeous. That's why I clicked on it. It's a tarot deck that involves famous witches from history, past and present. And it looked exciting. I thought, oh, that looks nice. I like the design of it. It looked pretty good. Yes, I'm going to have a look, and I'm going to investigate it. That's what I do first. Well, I'm not going to back it. So I looked through it, and I think it was about £45 for just the deck. Just the deck. Okay. Didn't say anything about the postage. And then I looked at the next one, and it said £60 for the deck and the guidebook. And I was like, 15 quid for a guidebook. I mean, this better be some good guidebook to be 15 quid that you're having to charge extra for it. Because I thought, well, actually, that's very clever, because if you've done 78 designs of different witches throughout history, you're going to need a guidebook to know which one's a witch and why you've decided that this witch needs to be, I know, the strength card, and why that one's the 3 of Wands, isn't it? And I was like, okay, that's clever, but also incredibly offensive to people buying decks. I'm going to say that. Incredible. I mean, that is pretty much for the deck collector, isn't it? That's just doesn't make it. What's wrong with a little white book that goes through it all? Yeah, what's wrong with that? And then I thought, well, hang on a moment, 15 quid for a book. So therefore, I'm assuming it's going to be, probably quite a hefty tome. Probably talking about, the cards and the witch that's attached to the design and why that's the case. And, probably 2 or 3 pages on each card. So, yeah, I can imagine it being, quite fancy. Yeah, okay, go up for it. And then I thought, but then that's just going to add extra weight to the postage, isn't it? That's just going to knock the postage up by another 10 quid just by having this extra bloody guidebook in it. I went for a stomp then, because when I get a bit cross, I go for a walk outside and kind of a bit like kind of venting and ranting at myself. It's like, that's just outrageous. I'm sorry. That is just, yeah, I'm all for people wanting to create the decks of their dreams, and I'm all for people wanting to create wonderful things. And yes, but don't be so, try and think of people saving a bit of money, try and perhaps produce it as a PDF that also people can read. Perhaps that will happen. I don't know. Perhaps this person may even watch this video and may get the idea to do that. But don't ask me to pay 15 quid for a guidebook for the deck when I've already shelled out 45 quid to do it. So there we go. There we go. I'm getting off my soapbox again for a second. You can tell I'm a little bit wound up by that one. That one really, that one really bit me. That one. Jackie said, I only buy now from Wordry, free shipping and no customs. Of course, they don't have all the decks, but they also don't sell fake decks anymore. Yeah, I've just put my first order in with, what's the Emporium? Not Oneness. And I have to blame Chris Elemental Cartomancy for getting me that one now. Him in his Circe tarot deck, I decided I was going to jump on that. And do you know what? Over a certain amount, you don't pay for postage and packing. I thought, fair enough. That's the way to do it, isn't it? So, yeah, absolutely. Just still talking about mail-centered decks. Your phone keeps changing. We get the drift, Jackie. Don't worry. We get the drift of it. I can't speak now. Marita says, I've only done 2 Kickstarters. One was done by a person I know, so it's safe. Yeah, the other was a very thoroughly depicted, not too terribly expensive, along with beautiful. Great, that's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I swear autocorrect just created to make us look all like idiots or drunk. Absolutely, yeah. Paying extra for guidebook is okay if the book adds a great deal of information. Just don't make a larger version. Exactly. Well, it would be quite nice to have an little white book as well to go with this. There was no mention of this at all. No mention at all. It was like, buy the deck and then sit there and wonder who half the people are in it, or pay 15 quid plus postage and packing for more information on it. And again, there was no images. There's no images of what this guidebook's supposed to look like. And I'm going to show you in a minute guidebooks, and I'll talk about those on Kickstarter in a moment. Anyway, again, no disrespect to the creator of it, but if you are watching it, sort it out, please. Robin is here. When we reach our saturation points, do we feel moist? No, I would say the opposite. Dry. I would say it makes me dry, hot, angry, and annoyed, to be honest with you. Perhaps the answer is we all need to set personal boundaries, yes, for what we'll spend, what extra costs we'll support, how many decks we actually need. You're absolutely right. And it's something that I talk to myself about doing on a very regular basis. Isn't it up to us to be wise consumers? Yes, totally agree. Create the decks of your dreams. It doesn't mean you have to put it on a Kickstarter and try to get everyone to pay for you to have the decks. Yes. One Yule, I found a man's cologne with a man that I found a man's cologne that a man with whom I fell in love from afar, and I used it in a ritual room freshener. It became a ritual by every year. I can't send coming up. I love it. I love it. Is that a Samsung Fold I spy behind you? This, yes, yeah. Oh, I have sad news. I don't think Deanne is here, which is quite, because she'll be very surprised. You know, the Tarot phone finally died. Tarot phone has died. It was my special phone with all the Longman Tarot stuff and all the Longman Tarot photos, most of which are because we now have a version 2. We have Tarot phone 2. Okay. But it has lost some of the photos and some of the crystals that I've got. So now I'm just going to not know what crystals I've got. So I'm going to buy some more now, aren't I? But yes, it is my Fold. Yes. And I do like it, but it's incredibly big and heavy phone. And I often end up dropping it because... Oh, thank you. There it is. Oneness Emporium. Yes, absolutely love it. I was waiting for the actual order to arrive. It should be very, very soon. Oh my God, the Circe is so good. And can I just say that the LWB is better than some full-size guidebooks. It's brilliant. Thank you for that, Chris. Wonderful. And thank you for talking and showing it on your channel, because it was, again, something I saw in a catalogue a couple of years or last year, and it was on my wish list. And I thought, yes, that looks like it's time to be in my collection. This must be an incredible smell. My cards end up smelling like essential oils. Well, Gerald will remember his handy hint, because I bought a Thoth tarot off eBay secondhand, which I don't have a problem with at all, until I opened it up, and the household that it came from it reeked of cigarettes. I mean, it was like that. You opened it up. And Gerald gave me a very good piece of advice, which is if you want your decks to smell neutral, i.e. not smell of the person previously or cigarette smoke, shut them in a box with some carbon or a carbon filter for a few weeks, shuffle them occasionally, mix them up, and it gets rid of the smell. So if you do have decks that smell, you want to put a bit of carbon, like a, I got like a charcoal block, wrap it up in there. Works brilliantly. Philippa says that was the problem I found last year. Suddenly the price kept going up. Extra for a book. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, the tarot phone had. Well, the annoying thing is that as a Glastonbury Unity candle ambassador as well, I had everything set up on that one now. So now when I do my wonderful silent minutes, I have to use my different phone. It's just, it's like trying to crack the Da Vinci Code. It's a miracle it ever happened sometime. But yeah, but I will buy some more crystals. Yes, that will help me feel better. You know how to keep me calm, don't you, Gerald? Thank you for that piece of sound advice. I like Gerald. I only recently discovered it, but it's brilliant. There we go. Jane the Seeker is, hello, Jane. Good to see you. Just stop by. We're taking my mum out to lunch. I hope you have a lovely lunch. The tarot phone, you shall be missed. Yeah. It will be. Just died. Not even packed up or didn't charge. Just went. I was watching someone's a YouTube video and it just died. I'm not going to tell you who it was because people might take offence by that one. But yes, one of you did kill my tarot phone once and for all. There's no such thing as a saturation of crystals. Absolutely. Hannah says last year I got burned out on buying decks for a while. Yes, the Christmas sales brought me back, but it was mostly old deck. Again, isn't it funny? We always go for the old decks. We're going back to those ones time and time again. The modern classics, Lightseers, like I say, Everyday Witch, I'm loving, Wildwood, Druidcraft, you know, RWS, you know, it's there. And I could, you know, not happily, but if I got rid of a lot of the ones, I would be more than happy to keep half the collection. You are free to kick me if I ever do a Kickstarter. You can't. I know that it is a lengthy wait. Well, there is one I have backed. This is why I said I'm possibly coming off Kickstarter, because a couple of weeks ago, if I was happy to delete the app and close my account, and then I realized I've got 2 decks still on there. So I thought I can't do that yet. So I've been very, very careful about not going on. And then I do go in just to beat myself up a little bit more and go, yes, this is why I hate Kickstarter. I hate them all. I hate them all. I'm going through it all. You want how much for it? Yeah, it's a bit like that. I'm not searching the internet for the Cersei. I swear I'm not. Oh, it is a lovely deck, but purchase responsibly, of course. I wonder how the scent would. Oh, we still talking about scent. Okay, I wonder how the scent could be sustained for a production deck. I found my old strawberry shortcake doll from the 80s, and she still smells lovely. Oh my God, that's incredible. God knows what chemicals they put on it to make it last that long, but I'm pleased it still smells. Can we all now share decks we bought that we think everybody else should buy? Oops, was that anti the spirit? No, absolutely not. No, I'm planning to. Well, I'm going to show you a couple in a minute. I opened up and went, ugh. And I suppose we're going to get into AI territory in a moment. So be prepared for that one. Yeah, it's a good idea, the charcoal. I spent a fortune on crystals at the weekend. Good. Crystal and Gem Fair, there you go. The mothership was calling, was it? Glide was doing something, and I can show you it. Beautiful. And bronzite apparently is good for releasing negative emotions. Jonathan's got his bronzite crystal skull on. I apologise for causing your phone to unalive itself. You should have a GoFundMe. Well, Peter and I, between us, do have a whole drawer of old phones, so it really didn't take us very long to discover one that we could replace it with. So all I had to do is remember all my all my login details and stuff like that. Oh, it says the Cersei isn't my aesthetic at first glance. You'll grow to love it. You might wonder what's wrong with me. I've not bought anything since 2 decks I got in December. They're not seeing it. Just there we go. That's what we're talking about here, Robin. There doesn't seem to be anything in here that butters our muffin, as I put it in earlier. So yeah, I wonder how long I can go. Looking at what the catalogues are producing at the moment, Robin, personally, I think I could probably go all year. But there are a couple of decks that are coming up that I will enjoy. But it's certainly not going to be a heavy spend for me, I'm planning to, unless it is going back and buying replacement copies or stuff from previous. Okay, now I wasn't going to cuss or do anyone misservice, and I'm not here to do this, but there are a couple of decks I just want to show you where it kind of illustrates what I've been talking about. The first one is this Lumen Tarot, again, Kickstarter. Beautifully done Kickstarter page, I have to be honest. And then, I mean, look at the size of this box. This came through the post. It's the heaviest box. It's not short of a weight of a breeze block, if you want. And again, we've got lots of stuff in here. I can't even lift it up to show you. Got the usual postcards. Yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Comes with a bag. Okay, this is the guidebook. I'm going to put this down. Okay, this is the guidebook. Beautifully created, hardback. Yeah, you know, I mean that is £8, £10 worth of postage just there. Beautifully created. I appreciate it. Don't like the deck, unfortunately, but again, fantastic. I suppose if you like big books. What else did we get? We got this. Lovely. Don't know what to do with it. And then it came with not only a tarot deck, let me show you some of these. So we have these nice cardstock. So I'll show you some of the designs. That's the Magician. Quite AI centric, I'm going to be honest with you. But actually, this is kind of slightly broken mirrory. Empress, I'm not sure I particularly like the Empress on this one. Emperor. I mean, the artwork's okay. I'm not saying, it's not. I find some of the images a bit small, and it's like, what's going on with that one when you look at that Hierophant card there. And I know my camera's not focusing, but you can see how busy it is there. Like the Chariot card, quite interesting take on it there. A beauty, beautifully kind of created deck. There's nothing wrong with that. If it just came as a deck, it would be fine. But no, because not only did that happen, okay, not only was that, there were extra cards with nude versions of it. So there was about 10 nude versions that you could slip into the deck if you wanted to have a bit more of a saucier read, or you felt that what your tarot skills needed was a bit of sort of toplessness, if you really wanted that. Not only that, no, my friends, we also have another, I would say, 50 cards that are kind of an oracle deck. Now, I'm not here to this. Sorry, my tone of voice isn't right there, because, you know, I got sucked in. I bought it. You know, and it's absolutely one. The problem is, I opened it up and I just went, ugh. And I didn't have that big buzz. I didn't have the exciting, oh, this is arrived. Oh, great, I love it. There was not that at all. And it has sat on my shelf. I've picked it up a couple of times to look through it, closed the lid and put it back on there again. So you've got a lot of extra cards, like the 7 Deadly Sins in there. You know, so together there's, I don't know, probably 150 cards. I mean, it's impossible to shuffle that as a whole thing. I have no idea what I would use any of these cards for at all. So there's the problem, you know, beautifully created deck. It's whoever's made it has done a fantastic job on making sure every single corner of this has been covered. You know, every add-on gift has been there. But it just leaves me a bit cold, even for all the extra bits, and the fact that it's really heavy. It's really heavy. I actually, when that arrived in a box, I'd forgotten I ordered it, and I was like, who sent me like some tins? It was that heavy, like food tins or something. So yeah. The name of the deck, I will show it to you. I'm not going to read it out because it's that. It's that one. Nancy says, I vote we lose the spendy lard guidebook boxes. Absolutely. And the junk that comes with it, or the extra stickers, all that. I mean, what the hell do you do with stickers? Yeah, I mean, obviously stick them to things, but, you know, exactly. I just want the deck. I want a deck, and I want a small little one. I want to get back to the days of tuck boxes. Sorry, folks. Tuck boxes or nice boxes that aren't going to take up half a shelf, that don't have to stay in their special presentation boxes because of all the other paraphernalia and ephemera that comes with it all. Did anyone catch them? Oh, go on. I'm just going to say it. It's the Lumen Tarot. Okay, Kickstarter. I mean, that is how thick the thing is against my hand. Oh, and the other annoying thing, just to add it on, is that when it arrived, the actual box was damaged anyway, and it's like it's actually broken. It's that heavy that it was rattling around in its box. So tarot decks should be portable, not cumbersome. Absolutely. Colour, once again, it's a bit soulless. I suppose, what time is it we've got now? We can mention AI. I suppose that is going to be the point that that we get to here. Now, I know that for AI, there's a lot of conversations about AI, and this brings me quite neatly to the next one in a moment. Because AI, yeah. So the conversation about AI goes like this, isn't it? It's, you know, is it right to AI somebody else's artwork to use for your own creations? That is a conversation that I am really interested in having. However, I'm not going to have it for the very good reason in this point. For the second point about AI is I never actually get to the first part about it, because actually I don't like AI art. I've said it. There you go. I've said it. I find it soulless. I find it quite grubby looking, as in dark. I don't think any of the images have got very much depth to them, either depth as in soul energy or actually coming 3D off a page. I find they're very difficult to look at. I find a lot of the images quite distracting. I just don't like AI art. And I don't like it when people try and not necessarily pass AI off as their own work, but they don't tell you how much AI has gone into it. For example, this deck here, the Stardust Wanderer. Okay, again, on the surface, this deck had everything to absolutely make me incredibly happy. Okay, so it's a deck that is basically it's space, pirates, deities, and cosmic intrigue. That's how they're selling it. Okay, so kind of if you think about, if you happen to know Disney Treasure Island, it's got that kind of slightly steampunk pirates but set in space. Oh, good, I thought. Excellent. And I looked at the art and on the web page, and I was like, yeah, that looks okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting. Well, what turned up, I think, is quite a gloomy. In fact, the camera's doing a really good job of making it much more iridescent in real life than it is in real life. So, yeah, okay, we're going to run with the theme. But it doesn't seem to it just doesn't work for me. It's almost like oversaturation of color for the sake of it. That's your High Priestess. There's some lovely images. Now, this, again, there was a problem, and that is, whether this is a fault of the deck creator or not. Two of the cards got mixed titled. So the Emperor and the Empress got mixed up the other way. The creator did realize this and actually sent out stickers to, if you wanted to, put over the cards titles, which I haven't done because I thought that just makes them stick out in the deck a little bit more. So this is actually the Empress. Again, really busy. I mean, why the Empress has to have 3 or 4 different extra bits plus what's going on, I don't know. And this is the Emperor card, and this upsets me quite a lot. This is the Hierophant card, which to me just speaks of Empress. So it's all very, very confusing. There's some more. This is Strength. It's kind of the goddess Athena being attacked by an octopus. And the Hermit card, which is one of the cards I always go to look at. Again, it's very hard work on the eyes, this. And it was, again, a deck that I opened and just went, oh gosh. And my first thought was, when can I get it on eBay so that I can get it out and just sell it while it's a newish deck and before other people decide to jump on that ship. Saying that, we've got the holographic edges. All the money's being spent on that. It does come with a book, and this time it's a sensible one that fits in the box. That's okay. Black and white, Okay, but again, it's another example of where it's just like, I don't feel like I've signed up for this, or what I'm getting isn't what I expected. And that, I think, is possibly one of the problems that is Kickstarter at the moment, is you just can't tell from necessarily what is being shown you what the overall thing in your hand. And it comes down to the fact perhaps there's no walkthroughs of it. No one else has had any experience of it. It's just, I've had enough of it. I really have. I've had that. There's been a couple that have come in that are okay, but I have to say my last 24 weeks, let's say the last year at Kickstarter, has been pretty disappointing and dull and soulless. And that's why I'm not doing them anymore. So there we go. Let's catch up with people. Use the stickers to create bibliomancy. Yeah, and I know, yeah, people do use the stickers for the journals. Yeah. Tuck box raid. Do you know what? I think I'd quite like to have a bit of tuck box raid for a moment. Sorry, I've got on my t-shirt. Yeah. But you're right, it helps to like the stickers first. I think that's the problem, is that if you're going to have a deck that for all the stickers in the world and all the extra bookmarks and all the postcards, if you don't like the deck, adding more stuff to it is not going to make you want it even more, is it? Okay. I do get the point, absolutely. Chris talking, Chris, how about Greek mythology? Yes. Oh, I am up for that one. I've forgotten so much. Yeah, let's do Greek mythology. Let's do Mythic Tarot, because there's not that many out there. I would love that one. I'd happily run that one if anyone didn't want to do it. Yeah. And Robin says, I wish decks came with a premium bouquet pouch instead of oversized boxes. Guide sticker. The thing is, you're right, but at the end of the day, you still want a box, don't you, to keep stuff in? And I would, they come in a big box. Sometimes they have boxes inside boxes, and they come with all the bits of it. You're never going to throw away that big box just to keep the smaller box. You have to keep the whole thing. So actually, it just goes to show things have changed. I would probably have loved a box set like that 5 years ago, when I couldn't go out and when everyone was in lockdown. That would have been a dream. But now we've moved on from that one. Pouches would be lovely, yes. And Nancy says, can we form a focus group for publishers on what extras we actually use and what we don't want to pay for? That would be interesting. I think this is all coming from Kickstarters, to be honest with you. I think publishers have probably got most of this. We're talking publishing houses and mass market stuff. I think they probably got it sorted on paperback guidebooks, little white books. I can't think of that many publishing stuff that came along that had extra bits apart from the odd fold out bit of paper, sort of spread cloth kind of thing. Not for a deck. It's I think buying online doesn't help, not only because it's easy, but we aren't able to feel it and pick up the spark or the soul. Yes. But unfortunately, that's the way that we are going to be buying stuff, isn't it? None of these, unless you just happen to live near a shop that has an incredibly good stock, or you could go and visit, a town like Glastonbury or perhaps London once in a while. There's going to be a lot of people that this happens. And it happens with mass market decks to some extent as well. I get them and I go, ooh, not too sure about that one. However, it's not been half as bad as Kickstarter and some stuff. AI just looks at it. Yeah, it's really, it messes with my head, AI art, and I can't describe why. I think it's because I quite like shapes. I'm a teacher of maths, so I like geometry. I like angles. I like all that kind of shape and ways things, 3D stuff, all that stuff. And AI just hasn't quite got it yet. I'm sure it will do, and I'm sure it will improve. But I can spot an AI picture from a mile away. The image are overly intense for me, the colour, yeah. House of Cards. Jonathan's I have that deck and it just misses the mark. You're right. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. And I think that can be truly said for a lot of these decks as well. It's kind of trying to be everything and nothing all at once. It's a fine point of contention, but I find I'm far more drawn to decks featuring stylized art than academic illustration. An animal, herbal, sex, glamour, body, beautiful, cutesy deck. No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, again, each to their own, isn't it? Each to their own. The cards are busy, colours over the top. It's all quite flat, the artwork. And I'm wondering, and that says a lot for the human hand and the human art, doesn't it? Is that for all the cleverness of AI, it's that you still can't be somebody with a pen, where even if it's, you know, using a computer program, but actually drawing the thing, shading the thing, putting their emotions and style into it. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff that's produced on AI is then modified, changed around to it. But there's no getting away from the fact that some of this stuff looks like it's been banged out on a Sunday afternoon quickly on a computer and kind of uploaded. That's sometimes how I feel about it. The goddess Athena being attacked by an octopus. Yeah. Hi, Anne. Good to see you here. I just realised it was you. It's lovely to see you here. I hope you are very well. Obviously, it's all personal taste, but isn't it up to us to do our homework, demand Kickstarters, provide more information? Yeah, now that's the problem, isn't it? Is that we often go on to Kickstarter. Why we go on to Kickstarter? Because it's, you know, in my opinions here, I will see I will firstly look at a design and obviously look at that bit first. And then I won't read the blurb. I'll start to look at what's happening and, you know, what other things. And then I look to see how long it's got left to go, how many more days it's got, and how the uptake of it's been. And if something is, you know, with 7-8 days to go and only got 25%, I go, oh no, I don't actually think people don't like that. I actually go, oh, that's never going to be published. And it's interesting that that is a point on it. But I've also got very good at going, oh, 400%. I still hate the bloody thing. I'm not going to back it. There we go. But yeah, I think it is down. I don't think Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter pretty much got that sorted. And the people that have had really successful campaigns are the ones that have spent so long uploading extra stuff onto these platforms, uploading and showing and regularly updating it and keeping people in. But sometimes you just get people that are like, right, that's it, bang, there we go, I've made it. Okay, and every week I'm just gonna put something else in there. But you're absolutely right. This all comes down to us. But I suppose the sad thing is, which is what I was talking about at the start of it, is that this has got so saturated, so niche, that actually none of these decks that I'm looking at is anything I want to buy, you know, and that's perhaps where it's going to go. It's just going to go off into this world of perpetual animal oracle decks of AI intention, you know, with the pirate raccoon or something. I don't know, but that's the way it's going to go. It's going to get so niche that in the end, some people are going to go, you know what, you've really gone too far. And that's interesting because something else will come along to replace it, won't it? Care Bear says, I just wonder how much tarot knowledge some people really have when creating decks. That's another thing. And that kind of ties in with what I said earlier about when you picked up your first tarot deck, however many years ago, you had that special bond, you had that special, this is something, you know, sacred, this is something where I pick up something now and I go, do you even know? Don't get me wrong, there are some wonderful decks out there that people have obviously know their tarot back to front and are so creative that they can take a whole new genre. I'm going to say the St. Jinx one that I've got, the Drowned Earth. Is it Drowned Earth deck? The space one, kind of dystopian space futuristic one. But my goodness, there's so much detail in that from the original work. But not only that, there's extra bits in there that's been put into it. And I'm like, hang on a moment, you know, a lot of people may not like perhaps the style you do, but my goodness, you know how to design a card and you know the depths that the tarot can do and the images that need to go in there. Richie, that makes perfect sense. Reaction to AI, tons of gimmicky extras. Yeah, thank you. Anne says, I've never done a Kickstarter. Can't see it being my thing. Yeah. Oh, yay on the Greek mythology. Perhaps I will do that. Greek. That would be amazing. Yeah. Am I that behind on everything on the chat? Does anyone throw out the big boxes? I'm tempted, maybe. Do you know what I would like? And I don't know if it's actually doable. I don't think it is. I would just like them to be collapsible. And I'm sure it can be organized, that this thing can be folded up, can be strong enough to be a box that you have your book in and stuff, but can also be folded down flat and stored somewhere. That would be ideal, wouldn't it? So you wouldn't actually have to throw them away, but you wouldn't have to actually take up a lot of space. Now, there's a thought. Oh, you're doing Mythos. I've read that. It's brilliant. And Stephen Fry reading it is incredible as well. Yeah. And yeah, Tara agrees, Paper Moon. It's our job to research. Yes, if a campaign doesn't have enough information, I don't back it, and it probably doesn't fund. Yeah, you're right. And Stephen Fry might make Greek myth interesting for me. It's unnatural, and our aesthetic senses that, yes. Oh, we're talking about AI. Yes, you're absolutely right there. Yeah. Stephen Fry's Greek myths are amazing, especially when he reads them to you. Yeah. I tell you what I'm reading, sorry, slightly off track now. I've suddenly realised that I've missed out on a lot of Terry Pratchett. I used to read a lot of the Discworld books when I was a student, but what I've missed out is a lot of his young author stuff, the We Three Men, the Tiffany Aching books. And I realised over Christmas I'd forgotten those ones. And I'm like, I really don't want to go buying the books. And then I found that somebody had on YouTube uploaded Terry Pratchett reading his own stuff. Oh my God, the man was a legend, I tell you. And if you fancy something to enjoy before you go to sleep, I really recommend a bit of Terry Pratchett. If your brain can cope with it. Most AI decks I've seen have edges smooshed and yeah, absolutely silly. Patty, that's a really good example there. Jen, you've got to be going. I'm thoroughly enjoyed sitting back listening to. Oh, Jen, blessings to you, my lovely. It's so great to see you here. Keep well. I worry about the day we can't tell the difference between AI art and human created art. Today it's crap, but that will change. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I mean, the whole AI thing, some groups of people are embracing it. I actually embrace it because I think with the right side stuff for education, it can be absolutely brilliant. And you should, we've had to rethink stuff. So the days of people writing essays and submitting them are pretty much over. Unless they check for AI now, there's computer systems that check for AI and it spots that and plagiarism and things like that. However, for people who have perhaps problems writing essays, like I did, ask AI to write a lesson plan, or ask AI to write a plan for an essay and then actually write it yourself. Now that is ingenious and incredible. So there is, AI is always going to be here. We have to embrace it for the positivity. However, to get there, there's going to be so much nonsense and so much bad stuff out there about it until there are restrictions or something put in place to actually keep it a bit under control. We're at that time, aren't we, where everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon, and we just have to be careful that what we're buying and what we're using and looking at is, and as you say, is at the moment is not good enough to actually make you completely fall for it. It has its limitations. There are still AI that produces people with 3 hands, or no legs or whatever, and it's just the way the pictures have been morphed on that one there. And it's at the moment quite easy to spot that, but who knows, in a couple of years' time it won't be. And then perhaps there will be decks that are being created that, well, perhaps we'll just be creating our own decks. Perhaps that's the way forward, is that actually when I want a masculine centered deck, I will be able to create it myself on a Sunday afternoon using an AI package, upload it, and boom. And perhaps I don't have to then sell it to everyone. Perhaps that is the way forward. AI in art, CGI in film, they just don't do it for me. CGI I find quite jarring. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I find it, of course, it's where it's going now, is that CGI will take over actors. And that's actually, a lot of people are already losing jobs, not just actors because of it, but we have to think about the ethos. And I know I didn't talk about the ethos of AI because I said I don't do AI because I don't like the art, but there is all that to go. it'd be really interesting to be, I don't know, 50, 60, 100 years in the future when all of this has come through and perhaps AI has been, you know, can cure huge diseases or help with things, but, you know, at a cost of what? I don't know. This is a whole new life, isn't it? Robin says the difference between artist decks and AI decks is like the difference between homemade pastry and Pop Tarts. Precisely, I couldn't put it better myself. And Chris loves a good Pop Tart. But Chris, remember, do give it a good 2 or 3 minutes before eating, because otherwise you know what will happen. Your mouth will burn and you won't be able to talk for 24, 48 hours. Oh, he's going to go and do a Pop Tart now. Does Uber do Pop Tarts? You know, Deliveroo? I don't know. Slap some sugar on a piece of cardboard. There you go. Gerald has added mythos to my to be read list. Elemental cartomancy. If I'm going to say, Chris, I don't know if you've actually read the book Circe by Madeline Miller. Hang on there 1 second. I'm going to get it for you. Okay, right, it's coming back. So I really recommend this book. If you want to know more about that deck, this book I couldn't put down. I've read it 3 times. It's amazing. I really recommend it. She also wrote the Song of Achilles, the Shield of Achilles. I can't remember what it's called. Absolutely brilliant. There we go. And I also recommend as well on BBC Tunes, what's it called? Podcast one. Natalie Haynes, who is a stand-up comedian who also knows her Greek myths. So she does like a stand-up comedian role plus talking about Greek myths and other myths. So I really recommend that as well. I'd have jam on toast, would I? Maruta, I really don't like when creators get too creative and no longer resemble the RWS themes. They become unreadable for me. Yeah, that's very interesting because, you know, when I've done readings, particularly on Longstash, the Labanco tarot comes out quite a lot, and we laugh, don't we, about the devil card and the, you know, that image on there. Now, that has been hand drawn. It's beautifully done because it's like sgraffito. And that is one of the energies. That is probably one of the darkest or most exciting decks to be working with in my collection, the Labanco one. However, you know, I'm so fortunate that deck was made a few years ago before AI, because it's the kind of thing that AI would now generate. And yet Labanco is a fabulous deck and it's got so much weird energy to it. I love. But if you tried to get it as AI, it wouldn't have that at all. It'd be as flat as a sandwich or a pancake. Yeah. Oh, am I still on collapsible boxes? I'm so sorry. Right. Robin says I've thrown out a few big boxes, just don't have the extra real estate. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people up for Greek myths. And Robin is tired of Llewellyn oversized boxes. Yeah, collapsible's the way forward. Mass market publishers should get rid of the boxes, large books, with nothing else for the planet. Don't forget all the plastic that it all comes wrapped up in. I mean, that makes me a bit cross. I know they have to keep boxes sealed, but, you know, you open up a box and then there's those thick bandings around that could be made of paper, couldn't it? It doesn't have to be, you know, or another deck that's sealed in plastic. Really, that makes me cross. Tricia says all my big Llewellyn boxes I put in storage under my bed and I put the decks all in bags. Yeah. Be selective, says Anne. Yes. Be well informed, resist peer pressure, and as Gerald says, purchase responsibility. I need that on a t-shirt, don't I? I feel like there's 2 types of tarot decks that work without help and those that are totally dependent on guidebooks. In the second case, I'd rather just buy the book. Yes. I think you're right there. Yeah, again. And Calla says one day AI will mostly prawn and it will leave tarot alone, maybe. Mostly prawn. I've lost you there on that one. Here's Sarah. Hello, Sarah. Just wanted to send love and hellos to back to you on that one. I can only reiterate a lot of what people have said. Research, and be discerning. Purchase responsibly, darlings. Brilliant advice. Early days, but AI can be spiritually the same, in my opinion. Oh, but the AI can't be spiritually the same. Yeah. Oh, you love Cersei. Yeah. Oh, the Song of Achilles. Thank you. It is the Song of Achilles. Yeah. I think I prefer Cersei. Like I said, I've read it 3 times. And it's the kind of book I buy people for the birthday present. You've got to read this and kind of pass. Yeah, it's fantastic. She is brilliant. Yes. I listened to Cersei on tape. It's brilliant sort of telling of the myth there. A Greek mythology comic. That's genius. Thank you for this. Yes, her name's Natalie Hayes. She's also written some books. I've got one up there at the moment. I'll go and get it for you so you know how to spell her name. Bear with me. Yeah, she's written a few. Her name's Natalie Haynes. I just got this. Can't wait for this one. So it's called Stone Blind and Medusa's Story. And again, she's really good. Not necessarily reinventing the story, but just putting a really nice spin on it. So there. Gerald's off. Take care, my lovely. Good to see you here. Madeline Miller has been annoying me lately. Oh, MM has been annoying me lately with texts they're putting out on. Oh, MM. I thought Madeline Miller, who's Song of Achilles. They're putting out on pop culture. The images often never make sense and they're always just pips. Yes. Yeah, I've got the Labyrinth one, if that's what we're thinking of. And I've never use it. They seem, I don't know if they've stopped doing all those ones. I'm not quite sure. The Wellin boxes used to be collapsed. Or did they? But the cards had no storage space. So they had to be put in a bag. That's not a problem. I can buy bags. Bags are pretty. I'm not familiar with Greek mythology, so I might have to read mythos myself. I've listened to the Neil Gaiman book, Norse Mythology. Oh, I've read the book. I haven't read the Neil Gaiman reading. I bet that's stunning as well because the book was amazing. Oh, porn. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's that titillation. There is a Kickstarter deck at the moment. It's called the Nude or the Naked Tarot. And all it actually is modern, is classical artwork, which have obviously got nudes on it, you know, all those famous pictures. But it made me laugh is that you can't show them on the Kickstarter, so they've got the stickers over all the bits. And I'm like, I find that more offensive that, you know, this picture, this classic picture of, you know, so many things. There was one that you can see in art galleries. Has not only gone onto a tarot deck that's called Naked, you know, that's the focus of it, not the artist intentions or the stories or the myth behind them all, but it's all right. Yeah, let's just get, you know, some boobs into the tarot deck, and then that you can't actually show it on the internet because it offends people. It's like, oh, come on now. It's a bit like that. I dare say it's probably 200% funded already, but what's shocking is how much shrink wrap we all throw away. Enough to float. Don't, Robin. I find it awful. Absolutely. There's a lot of love for Neil Gaiman. Yeah. I have a pile of laundry to fold. I better get folding. I better go and do mine too in a moment. So thank you for reminding me there. Mass market. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you. Right, everyone. I think I've got to the end of it. Was disappointed with the Labyrinth one. Yeah, I know. That's why I never thought of buy. They did the Hobbit one and they did Dark Crystal, didn't they? I just like that. Oh, the Supernatural one as well. Yeah, I forgot about that one. It is time to fly. Tarot sex magic is all you need, says Maruta. Thank you for that. And Carla says, oh God, I remember when an attorney general in the years would drape classical statues and, oh dear God, don't get me going on that one there. And you're off to listen to Terry Pratchett. Yeah, the first book is, what's it called? The 'We 3 Men. Really loving it at the moment. I've done an hour and a half. I really wasn't expecting to do an hour and a half on this. I thought it'd be about 40 minutes. Please, thank you so much for allowing me to moan, rant, talk about it, discuss it. I'm going to say again, this is my opinions. Anything that I've shown, you know, I have deep respect for the artist, but, you know, it's time to perhaps make comments, and perhaps if people do see this or do, you know, think about this, perhaps it is time to have conversations. But people are absolutely right. We can't change necessarily creators putting all this stuff out. We can't change creators on Kickstarter doing this. We just have to be more careful and more choosy and more research, do more research on our own stuff, perhaps before purchasing it. But I'd be really interested to see what people say. So if you would like to sort of comment under this video, if you're watching it another time, please do, because it's been really fascinating, and it's been really interesting to see other people's opinions as well. And everyone's saying, thank you, Red Wing. Oh, enjoyed listening to the conversation. It's great having you all here. Thank you so much. It doesn't feel like 90 minutes, no. Good night. Have a lovely weekend, says everyone. This has been so much fun. Yeah, next time it won't be so many. There's lots of things coming up. We've got a long stash coming up soon with Gerald doing our readings. I've got Hershey coming on soon. So all sorts of things. I'm not going to be around next Friday, though. So hopefully I will be able to let you know more details of what's happening sooner. Maruta says, money talks. If we don't support, they go away. Quite right. It sounds as though a lot of us have become more choosy lately. And that's a good thing, isn't it? That can only be a good thing. You know, for whatever reasons, whether it's financial or just saturation or any of the other things there, you know, being so more aware of what you like, what you perhaps need in your collection, if that's the case. But what's really interesting is how many people are going, I'm going back to the old days, going back to the old decks, the original ones, the classic ones. And that is just makes my heart sing, because that's exactly what I'm doing. It is long stash soon, so we're getting ready for that one. Right, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. It's been lovely spending this with. Thank you for allowing me the space to talk about this. Thank you for allowing me. I didn't really moan that much, did I? Probably I did. But I will see you really, really soon. So take care. And I've got to find the right video now. Oh, I think it's that one. Okay. Good night. See you soon.